Yeah, I know. 2 nights in a row. 111. Fire meditation and transmutation. Once again, I find myself wide awake at midnight and beyond. My sleeping schedule is really messed up these days. As I sat in front of the fire in my atrium last night, I was pondering the subject of transmutation, which in alchemy is changing base metals to precious metals like lead to gold. What we are witnessing in human culture is our own transmutation from a level of ignorance into higher thoughts and realizations that we are more than what we believed we were. I would call it a paradigm transmutation from lack to abundance, from slavery to freedom. I have the sense that we will witness more and more of this shift, and everyone will be affected. Where to begin? A couple days ago, I read a astrological report for October, and there's all sorts of signs of significant change happening this month. And there certainly is that anticipation. I mean, that at least I sense that anticipation, and yet at the same time, I don't have a lot of the hard, cold facts, or at least the plausible beliefs that would make the anticipation plausible with some explanation as to what we can expect. I really don't know how it's going to unfold. I wish I did. And that was part of what I was pondering last night in front of the fire. And that's also one of the reasons that I burn candles. Since I was a kid, I've been fascinated by fire. And it's mesmerizing just staring and looking at the flames. As I indicated, I guess it was yesterday's video, Dr. Mary left me an abundance of candles. And I've burned candles, I believe, almost, if not every day, almost every day since I've lived here. And that's since July 2005. I've been in the practice of burning candles. I mean, sometimes it was just one candle, but of course lately it's 4 flames, a big flame and 3 small flames. But as I said, since I was a kid, I've been fascinated by fire. And I was thinking this morning before I started the talk here of the chant that we sing, earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. And spirit becomes matter. That which is invisible becomes visible. And then we get into the divine or the metaphysical alchemy, in which we transmute and transform matter from one form to another, from one element to another, from one metal or mineral to another. And we go through this transformation in the world. It was the ancient alchemists that gave birth to modern chemistry, as they used fire to see what they could do with various elements and various things in the world. They were fascinated by fire, as I am. And it's a spiritual fire that I'm most fascinated in, the fire that burns within me, that I know burns within each and every other human heart, which is what gives me the great expectation and the great hope that we are on the verge of some dramatic breakthroughs. It doesn't take, as I said yesterday, it doesn't take the majority to shift the entire culture. The minority has always shifted the culture. Always. That's the way it is. And the minority that has shifted our culture to the world that we've been experiencing in recent decades and centuries is a basically self-centered, egocentric, materialistic, uh, separated ego-centric mindset of people that just wanted to control other people. I mean, that was their whole goal, and they did this by the control was creating artificial lack when there's actually abundance, and creating the inability of people to feel secure, to feel like life is on their side. They've actually, the rulers have actually created polarization and pitted one thing against another, because as long as people were afraid and guilt-ridden and caught up and unable to escape their own negative emotions, the control by the few was easy of the masses. What's happening now is that a different few are waking up. And this is causing the transformation of human society. People are no longer willing to sit back and let governments bring in policies and austerity measures so that the bankers can keep getting richer, and the very people that caused the economic collapse and the economic calamity get paid for doing it. Handsomely, by the way. That's the world that we're living in and we're waking up to every day. And we're realizing that our government has been bought and paid for, and they're nothing but prostitutes for the bankers. Prostitutes that have sold their soul, but the soul is not saleable. Even though we've looked at it that way, and some people have seen it that way, it's not saleable. The spark burns in everyone. Yes, even the Illuminati, even the dark workers, even the psychopaths. There is that eternal spark, that eternal flame that cannot be extinguished, because it is life itself. It is love itself. It is the Creator embedded in the creation itself. And it cannot be put out. No matter what we create and are able to transmute, we always start with something. We always start with something, even if it's energy that we coalesce into matter. And it's always been that way. And we're waking up. It's a scientific awakening. It's a spiritual awakening. It's a sociological awakening. On every level of our being and our culture, we are waking up. We are shifting the paradigm into, as I said, from lack to abundance. When you understand that everything comes from nothing, from no thing, and everything is created in exactly that way, from no thing comes everything, then we realize that it's energy and consciousness that are always in abundance everywhere. There's no lack of energy. There's no lack of consciousness. There is ignorance, but there's no lack of consciousness. It just is unconsciousness rather than higher or super consciousness or awake consciousness. But it's consciousness nevertheless. And consciousness has always produced and created the experience of humans. And that's what we're talking about here. I don't need to go any further than that. That's what has created our experience, our consciousness. According to our ignorance, we've been able to be held in slavery without even knowing we were enslaved in many cases, until threats happened in our world, and then we were insecure, and we felt like we were waking up. We were being awakened to something. We maybe didn't know what, but we were awakened to something by loss, by threat. And this is how the world has evolved, through negative energies that make us aware and search for something deeper. In the discussion group yesterday, we were talking about the philosophy of a Zen master. It was one of the illustrations, who was falsely accused of impregnating a young woman. And when he was confronted with the allegation, he said, "Oh, is that so?" Didn't defend himself at all, and ended up, when the baby was born, the parents of the girl came and presented him with the baby, and he lost his reputation as a spiritual leader in the community. But he raised the baby for 1 year, and then the girl finally admitted that he wasn't the father and told the truth, that it was somebody else. The butcher's son was the actual father of the thing. And this is from Eckhart Tolle's New Earth book. That's the book we're studying. But there was the laissez-faire attitude of, okay, I'm not going to resist anything. I'm not going to stand up for truth. And the other Ron and I in the group said, "Wait a minute, I don't buy that. We may look at that as something that's good, that he was able to take a false accusation and not even attempt to stand up for the truth. That, well, they've accused me, I may as well accept the accusation. I know it's not true, but I may as well accept it." We're not accepting anymore. That may be Eastern philosophy, but we're not accepting that anymore as humans. And it doesn't matter if it's East or West. We're not going to accept, well, that's the way it is, and there's nothing I can do about it. No, we're looking at what is, and we're saying we can do better than that. We can make a world and transmute and make a world that serves everybody, that is sustainable. And this is the vision and the dream that's awakening in the human heart. And it's a divine awakening. We're awakening to our own abilities and our own powers, our own latent gifts, if you will. We're awakening to the fact that we are eternal beings and that death is just an illusion. I watched another video of the experiments that they've done with mediums, that even some of the scientists that were brought in as observers were blown away by it, and all of the people that were participating were totally blown away by the various things that happened under conditioned tests, that were where all the parameters were as conditioned as they could possibly be, so that it could be verified. And some of the things could not be explained any other way than the fact that the soul lives on beyond death and is still able to communicate, at least to some people, the living, even after they've gone. We don't know so much about who we are and what we are, but the transmutation is going on, and the fire is burning up everything that has kept us separate and kept us in bondage and kept us in ignorance. The fire is burning all that up, and that's what my prayer was last night, and it has often been. Let all that is not in my highest good be burned up in the fire, consumed and transmuted and transformed into energy that can serve everyone, because I serve all creation and all creation serves me, and that's the way it's supposed to be for all of us. For all of us. We are not victims. We are servants, but we're not victims. And being servant is powerful when you recognize that you serve all of it, because that's love. That's a very powerful state of being and a very powerful state of mind. And so in 2012, we are witnesses, you and I, we are witnesses to the transmutation of human consciousness from ignorance to truth, from darkness to light. And this is a beautiful thing, and I'm so glad to be participating in it here in October 2012. Thank you once again for listening. Namaste. Oh, come on, the cursor's not moving. Oh, there it is.